What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to season 3 of NFL Turf Talk here on DSM Media's Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter channels. Guys, first and foremost, if you are new to the channel, make sure to check us out on Twitter at DSM_media. Hit that follow button. We greatly appreciate it. While you're over on that page, make sure to check out the link tree. It's in our bio. It will take you to every social media platform we are available on. We have 3 new YouTube channels set up for DSM, where we have DSM Philly, we have DSM Scotty Talks NBA, and now we have DSM NFL Turf Talk, where all of your NFL and Turf Talk content will be posted this year by itself. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications for whenever we're live or a video pops up. I am one half of your host here, Dylan Davis. You can find me on Twitter at DylanJD98. To my right, my faithful co-host Scotty. You can find him as well at Scotty Drown. My man, season 3. How are you feeling on this Thursday?
Feeling good, man. Getting back into the rotation. Definitely top 2 sport to talk about, and it's probably not number 2. So I'm happy to be
goddamn right.
talking NFL here with you. And cheers to season 3, man. We made it long standing. We made it through 2 whole Eagles seasons so far. We've had the Eagles pregame, obviously. Not directly associated with this show, but we've been doing this NFL thing
it's a family,
for a couple years now, man. And feels good to get it back going here again. But obviously, we're doing it in a new way on its own separate YouTube channel. So I like how you highlighted that at the beginning. It's important that if you want all the NFL content from DSM Media,
subscribe to that one.
Head over to the NFL Turf Talk page. That's where you're going to want to turn on your notifications.
Yes, sir.
So you're notified every single time we post a video. But nonetheless, man, let's get it, man. I'm excited.
Season 3 is proudly brought to you by our friends over at Manscaped. Your balls will certainly thank you when you use promo code DSM at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. On today's show, we'll be going over our top 10 quarterback lists heading into the 2023 season. We'll be breaking down the AFC East division. We'll be going over the offenses, defenses, and our standing predictions for that division this year. And then we'll have some fun at the end like we did last summer, and we'll get into our AFC East divisional draft. Scotty and I, it'll be like a fantasy draft and drafting, offense and defensive players, and see who comes up with the better team. You guys can vote on that. But my man, let's start with the headline of tonight's show, and that is our top 10 quarterbacks. We will go from 10 down to 1. And before we get started, I got to say, I mentioned this to you pre-show. This was difficult, and not difficult like in our first 2 years of doing positional rankings, because in those 2 years, it felt like, man, anywhere from like 9 to 12, 9 to 13, you could make an argument for the last 2 guys in. I had trouble figuring out who deserves to be number 10 on this list, and not for positive reasons. So without further ado, my number 10 quarterback heading into the 2023 season has a lot of concern, a lot of injury risk, some age risk to him, but I don't know who's better than him at this moment. Beyond that, Matthew Stafford is who I have at number 10. Obviously missed a large majority of last season. The Rams were a disaster coming off their Super Bowl win the year prior. I'm expecting Matthew Stafford, knock on wood, to potentially be healthy. Has one of the best arms in the league still, even as he's getting up there and aging with all the injuries. And I'm expecting a resurgence alongside Cooper Kupp. So Matthew Stafford is my number 10.
My number 10, man. You're going to think this one's funny. I'm going with the interception leader himself, Dak Prescott. Dallas Cowboys quarterback, man. I wanted to leave him off very badly. I wanted to leave him off the list.
You wanted to leave him off?
But I just couldn't find a way to do that, nonetheless. Even though he led the league in interceptions, only playing 12 games last year, I do expect him to bounce back. Coming off the injury, he caught a lot of ridicule last season, especially a lot of flack from Eagles fans. And I expect him to bounce back. He's going to have a good season with that Cowboys unit.
He's not going to throw over 10 interceptions.
I don't know about that. Maybe if they're running the ball like they're supposed to. But nonetheless, I do expect him to put up numbers. He puts up numbers every single season. As long as he's not injured, he's going to be up there towards the top when it comes to passing yards, passing touchdowns. They like to put the ball in the air. They do have a new offensive coordinator, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out with this offensive attack in Dallas. But nonetheless, when garbage time comes around, Dak's going to be putting up them numbers. And Dak, let's be fair. Dak is a good quarterback
Yeah.
when there's not a ton of pressure on him, right? You can
He's a
say that about a
confusing
lot of guys.
quarterback to me. Dak
But yeah,
Prescott is a confusing quarterback to me because it's almost when you watch him back there in the pocket, and in previous years, before last year, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think his turnover ratio or his interception totals were ever sky high like they were last season.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad.
So he actually might have been pretty good if my memory serves me correct. You view him as kind of this game manager, but then they try to force the ball down. It's a weird thing. And basically why I'm bringing this up is because you wanted to leave him off and thought he's my number 9. There's nowhere else to go. Dak Prescott is my number 9 quarterback heading into this 2023 season. For all the reasons you laid out, obviously expect him to bounce back from the turnover, from the interception department last season. New offensive coordinator. They go out, they trade for Brandon Cooks, add another weapon there. He's going to put up numbers. He's going to throw for over 4,000 yards. He's probably going to throw 30 plus touchdowns.
Yeah.
Is a dual threat quarterback in a sense coming off of that major injury. He's a solid quarterback. I think that's kind of perfect slot for him is anywhere from that 9 to 10 area. You look at guys outside the top 10, Kyler Murray, Geno Smith, Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins. None of those quarterbacks are better than Dak Prescott, so I'm not going to be too outlandish here as an Eagles fan.
Yeah, I think that's fair. You look at Dak, over 4,400 passing yards in his last 2 seasons where he's played a complete season. So you know what he's capable of in the regular season. My number 9 is going to be another guy that missed some time last year, Lamar Jackson. And, Lamar Jackson's an interesting one here because obviously he wasn't able to put up his MVP caliber numbers last year, only playing 12 games similar to Dak. But he was still able to do his thing in the rushing game. He had over 700 rushing yards. He was able to gather 17 passing touchdowns, 7 interceptions. So the ratio wasn't too off there. And that's with some very young, I'll even go mediocre wide receiver targets that he had there. He's going to have a lot better targets to work with this year with Zay Flowers added into the mix, Rashad Bateman back, Mark Andrews, of course. And he got paid. It's about time he got paid. I think he's ready to ball out on that contract, man.
You forgot Odell, right?
Odell, yeah. Hey, good call. Good call.
I will
say he got the bag from the Ravens.
I will say I'm semi joking about the Odell point. I think people are overvaluing this pickup.
It's better than what he had.
Greatly. Yeah, it's helped, man. But Odell Beckham Jr. was a very good third option on a Super Bowl team 2 years ago before getting another season-ending injury. Doesn't play the money. I think he's an 85 on Madden rankings. It's a little outlandish that for what I think some people view this
guy that didn't play last year.
Resurgence of an older Odell Beckham Jr. But nonetheless, at number 8, I do have Mr. Lamar Jackson. Hey, you want to talk about my list getting thin, Scotty? 2 years ago, I tried to make the argument that Lamar's not top 10. I can't remember. Put that in the realm of possibility. A, because he's grown on me a little bit as well as a passer.
Yeah.
But I still think he's got a lot of imperfections as a passer, but that's just me.
Yeah.
But there's no argument that he's top 8. I mean, you could make an argument he's slightly higher on this list, but I have Lamar for all those reasons. Obviously, he was beat up last year. The Ravens underperformed. Never has had a lot of help at the wide receiver and skill position. His best friend's been his tight end and Mark Andrews, which I don't, think that'll be put to an end this year. But you mentioned the young, speed and Zay Flowers. You get Rashad Bateman back. And who knows, maybe Odell Beckham Jr. will be a lot healthier and better than I predict. So I have Lamar at number 8. I think he'll be in a top 5 running for MVP, probably just because of the numbers and the rushing and everything like that.
Just about him staying healthy. I agree there. My number 8, another guy that was a little beat up last year. And it's funny, man. It's funny that we have to talk about some of these guys that missed time last year. I'm talking about Tua Tagovailoa down in Miami, man. And he got off to a hell of a start last season before he caught those 2 concussions in a row. Obviously derailed his season completely. The Miami Dolphins never looked the same offensively. But before those injuries, man, he was lighting it up. And even with the injuries to finish the season, he still finished 12th in passing yards, 8th in passing touchdowns, 3rd in QBR on the season. He has Tyreek Hill. He has Jalen Waddle. I don't know if that takes credit away from him or adds it to him because of the monster numbers. But nonetheless, Tua was letting that thing fly last season, at least for the first half of the season. And I expect him to
Pretty
continue
left-handed
here.
ball, man. I got to be honest with you. Tua is not on this list for me, so that's an interesting difference maker right there. But
it's tough because will he ever be the same after those concussions? I mean, those are head injuries.
There's legitimate questions of should he play.
Exactly.
That's the craziest part about it. But I do agree. You kind of do forget that hot start Miami was off to. What were they to start last year? 6-1, 5-1 at some point. Yeah. You mentioned the gaudy numbers with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I want to say it was week 2 versus Lamar Jackson. They had that 28-point comeback or some crazy comeback.
Yeah, I think
Tyreek down the sideline twice. It was pretty wild, man. So that's an interesting point, man. You know what? I'll stick by my list, but I will admit to you, Tua is someone I definitely could slide in over Matthew Stafford at number 10 for me. So I did forget about him a little bit. At number 7, this kid's just a surging stud, dude. Trevor Lawrence. T-Law is number 7 for me. And that playoff performance last year was just unreal. I mean, it's unfortunate that he runs into the same buzzsaw we ran into in the Super Bowl the following week with Patty Mahomes. And actually, Mahomes gets injured in that game, but they already had such a large lead. But Trevor Lawrence, first year with Doug Peterson last season, takes that leap because his rookie year wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination, but you heard talk about Trevor Lawrence coming out of Clemson like he was the greatest prospect since Peyton Manning had come out and all this different stuff. And he wasn't careful with the ball. He had turnover issues. His body, he just didn't hold up his rookie year. And again, they had Urban Meyer, so can't really complain about him too much. First year with Doug Peterson, he was great. They get to the playoffs. He was phenomenal in that, historic comeback almost against the Chargers. Gets Calvin Ridley added to that receiving staff this year. T-Law is number 7 for me.
I like it. I actually have Aaron Rodgers at number 7. The New York Jets.
Let me be honest with you.
Yeah.
You'll see why in a second. It's slightly disrespectful to Rodgers. Slightly. But it's all right. Go ahead.
Aaron Rodgers at number 7, the New York Jets quarterback. Had a little bit of a down year to his standard last year with the Green Bay Packers. Now, mind you, wasn't working with the best weapons there in Green Bay either. Wasn't the best culture, if we're being honest. Obviously, it seemed like
that relationship was so fractured.
1 foot in the door, 1 foot out. So we finally get over that. He heads to New York to play with the Jets. Has a plethora of weapons there with adding Allen Lazard, Randall Cobb down the line. But nonetheless, I still like Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback in this NFL. He's top 7. I know you said it's a little disrespectful because of some of the guys that are going to be ahead of him here. But nonetheless, I just look at the rest of these guys ahead of Aaron Rodgers that we're going to list off as guys that are ready to surge. They're ready to take the next step in their careers and head towards MVP candidacy. I think all the guys above Aaron Rodgers here will be playing for an MVP caliber type of season. Aaron Rodgers, you could add him to that list with the New York Jets. He's going to have all the tools there. But nonetheless, he comes in at number 7 for me simply because he's on the other side of his career versus the top guys in front of him.
That's fair.
Are on the other side of theirs. I'm interested to hear what you got to say.
It's extremely fair. And I only bring that up because we're discussing the AFC East later on in this episode, and we'll get into Rodgers and another top 5 quarterback and your boy Tua as well. So it'll be an interesting conversation later on in the show as well. But at number 6, I have Justin Herbert. Again, it was a debate between 5 and 6 for Justin Herbert with me, but I cannot get that picture out of my head of what I just described for Trevor Lawrence. That's unforgivable for me at the moment. A lot has to go on Brandon Staley's back. A lot has to go on the defense's back. I get that. But correct me if I'm wrong. Did they not score in the second half, or they scored 3?
Did not.
You just, bro, on the wrong side of what was basically an historic comeback, and you didn't put up a point in the second half. That's unforgivable for me at the moment. Justin Herbert as a talent has one of the greatest arms in the league right now. But I just can't put him ahead of any of the other 5 guys I have on this list, because with the talent that comes with this list, winning does matter to me a bit on this list. So Justin Herbert at 6.
Yeah, I actually have Justin Herbert right in the same exact spot as you there. For similar reasons. I think he has all the talent in the world. We've seen that over the first few seasons he's been in the NFL. He's had some really, really high moments in the NFL so far, but he's had some really, really low ones, including that playoff loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars that you mentioned. Something that stuck out to me in this game. Now, touchdowns aren't everything. We know that, but only able to get the ball in the end zone one time in that playoff game. Your team scores 30 points. He's only responsible for one of those touchdowns. You have a guy like Austin Eckler by your side the entire season. I get Mike Williams was in and out. Keenan Allen missed a lot of time, right? But you got to make do with what you have. You got to do something with it. And that Chargers defense was talented, man. So all of that being said, I get the Brandon Staley issue. He seems to have a little bit of an issue on the offensive side of the ball, obviously.
That he does.
Justin Herbert, to be fair, had the rib injury early on in the season, so maybe that set him back a bit. But nonetheless, as you mentioned, winning matters. Winning in the postseason matters. And when you look at that Jags versus that Chargers game specifically, I look at that team and I look at the Chargers and I look at them as the better team in that matchup. Yeah. So when they fail, they lose that game, I'm looking directly at Justin Herbert for not being able to get that done.
Although I bet on the Jaguars, it was one of the better nights of my life in the NFL playoffs. But
it was a close one. To be fair, it was
I bet on Jacksonville simply for a hunch, and I went with Doug Peterson over Brandon Staley. The Los Angeles Chargers were the better team in this matchup, even though they were on the road. They were the better team.
Being fair to Justin Herbert, once again, he's at number 6 on both of our lists this season. Last season, he was probably top 5, maybe in the same spot.
The weird thing about Herbert is, would you agree that the arm talent alone is top 3 probably? The arm talent.
Yeah. Top 3 to 4. Yeah. I would say so.
Yeah. But it's just winning does play a little bit of a factor. He wasn't a rookie last year. Like he got the comeback put on him by the younger quarterback.
Yeah.
Like not it's not a big age difference.
Yeah.
But like if he's young, so is Trevor Lawrence, obviously. And Trevor Lawrence comes and gets the job done over Justin Herbert. At number 5, I do have Aaron Rodgers. It's slightly disrespectful. I was joking. I do think he's still a top 5 caliber quarterback in this league. If you want to argue about Justin Herbert, better arm talent, younger, that's fair with me. I'm in on the New York Jets this year. Yeah. And we'll discuss why later. I think it's a great fit. I think that relationship was so fractured in Green Bay last year. And yes, in large part because of him. All his antics, his darkness retreats, his off the field stuff, not communicating, forcing ownership to bring back aging friends of his. Like Aaron Rodgers was more so to blame for that, mishap in Green Bay than anybody else. But the bottom line is, whoever was right or wrong, he's out of that situation. He got to the Jets where he ultimately wanted to be, it seems like. And the talent around him, man. We know what that defense was like. We know what some of the young talent, Michael Carter, Breece Hall, right? Garrett Wilson. He gets to bring some of his friends. Mecole Hardman goes there.
Yeah.
I'm in on Aaron Rodgers this year. I'm in on the Jets this year, and I think Aaron Rodgers will have an MVP-like type season this year.
Okay. I like it. So number 5 for me is going to be Trevor Lawrence. So we got them
top 5
opposite sections, man. And part of it, do I think Trevor Lawrence was a top 5 quarterback last year? No, I do not. Right. But I do think going into this season, the projection, his trajectory, I think he takes his game to an even higher level in his second season with Doug Peterson. And I think they're able to do some very good things. I mentioned that all of these guys are going to be MVP candidates, in my opinion. And Trevor Lawrence fits the bill. You mentioned adding Calvin Ridley to the mix. That's a top a wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, however you want to mix him in with Christian Kirk there. But just one more year in Doug Peterson's system, one more year removed from Urban Meyer. And I think something that gets lost in the sauce with Trevor Lawrence is look at how he was renowned coming out of college, coming out of Clemson. There was talks of him being the next, the next Andrew Luck type of quarterback, that caliber prospect. And I think he's starting his trajectory towards fulfilling that. I'm not saying he's ever going to be that great, but he's going to be a good if not great quarterback in this league. And I do project him to be a top 5 quarterback this year. He just has the right head on his shoulders. He has all the talent. He can use his legs. And I think more importantly, to your point that you made earlier, he has the right head coach behind him.
Yeah,
and I think that's a big thing for Trevor Lawrence going into this
and
season.
again, to go back to him, because I had him at 7, and I did downplay his rookie year a bit, but just to see that leap with the head coach, that's the thing that stood out to me. It didn't take 2 or 3 years with Doug Peterson to get that out of Trevor Lawrence. It got day 1 out of Doug Peterson. Or with Doug Peterson to get that out of Trevor Lawrence compared to Urban Meyer and the mess that was his rookie season. The weapons that they had last year, Calvin Ridley in this offense, Travis Etienne emerged
Evan
last
Ingram
year. Like, they move on from James
back.
Robinson, right? Like, the Jaguars should run away with that division. Most likely. We'll talk about that obviously in a few weeks, but
obviously every situation is different. Think about what Doug Peterson did with Carson Wentz in his second season with Carson Wentz. Not saying that the same thing's going to happen, but we've seen it before with Doug Peterson in a good.
Well, and look what happens with great quarterbacks when you give them a number 1. Look at Josh Allen. Look at Jalen Hurts. Now, is Calvin Ridley, Stephon Diggs, or AJ Brown? No, but Calvin Ridley, I mean,
he's really solid. He's really good.
Definitely top 15.
Might take him a little bit of time to get back in the mix after missing a season, but he's still going to be a really good wide receiver.
Top 12 type of wide receiver, something like that.
Maybe the stress off his legs will do him some good.
I would say he's definitely a number 1. And then you have a bunch of number 2s floating around him. I think Trevor Lawrence is set up for success this year. I like it, man. At number 4.
This is where it gets fun.
Well, I almost can't say it.
Oh, man.
At number 4, I have Josh Allen.
Okay. Woo! You thought I was going to react differently, but maybe. No, I'm with you. I actually... I got Josh Allen at number 4 as well, my man.
All right. Explain. Let's go. Explain why.
So from Josh Allen's standpoint, right, he's got all the talent in the world. You could argue that he is in the same tier as the guys above him, and I'll agree with you there. I would say that he is. The difference for me between the 3 guys above him is all right here. It's all right here. He needs to get his head together. Now, with that being said, he lost Brian Daboll. We saw what Brian Daboll was able to do with Daniel Jones over in New York on the Giants. Obviously, getting Dorsey, getting a second year with his offensive coordinator, his new offensive coordinator, that is. I expect him to have a better season, specifically just not turning the ball over as much. He was up there with Dak Prescott when you're talking about turnovers this season. One thing that is a little alarming in the situation that I'll say, Stephon Diggs, what is going on there? Because that's a huge component of this offense. And if he's not happy, if he's not in the offense, it's not going to look very good. I'll just say that straight up. Gabe Davis is not your wide receiver 1.
Gabe Davis is in wide receiver 2.
He's not even a wide receiver 2. We found that out last season. So you do not want that type of pressure on his shoulders. But it's all up here for Josh Allen and me as far as where I have him.
I agree. We spoke about Justin Herbert's arm talent earlier.
And
how you could make an argument that it's anywhere in the top 3. Hell, like just from arm strength and accuracy, that he could be the best at times, right? The same thing can be said about Josh Allen. I mean, he has a rocket launcher attached to his shoulder. He's also a dual threat quarterback that you can speak about almost in the same breath as like Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson and these type of quarterbacks. He's got weapons around him. The Bills are always, seem to be top 2 in the AFC the last couple of years. There's just something, man. And I think we spent a lot of time talking about him on Turf Talk last year about he's missing something in the big moments. And for whatever, and listen, I know that's difficult to say when 2 years ago he went head to head with Patrick Mahomes in the divisional round and had one of the greatest playoff games ever. He definitely stepped up in that moment. It wasn't his fault, but there were just moments last year with the turnovers where you watch it. The bonehead plays, man. The Minnesota game, right? Like you get to the postseason again. I trust the other 3 more. and the
that's what
talent
it comes down to.
discrepancy isn't big enough to overlook the mental hurdle with Josh Allen,
Agreed.
if that makes sense,
No,
right? Like,
that's exactly where I'm at. He took a
yeah,
step back last season, to be
I agree.
completely honest.
Well, and that
That's
was
what
another
happened.
thing. I think heading into the year when we did these same rankings, a lot of people were arguing him or Mahomes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like that was
I
just
was
so
somebody that
asinine
went
to me at
through
the
it. You know
time.
what I mean? I thought about it. I still went Mahomes, but it was a conversation for sure, man.
Yeah. And that has changed. So without further ado, number 3. I'm interested to see where you go.
Yeah,
Because I know we're gonna have the same number 1.
yeah,
Everybody and their mother should have the same number 1.
yeah,
If you don't, we can't have a serious conversation with you. It's interesting to see where you go 2 and 3 because one's your quarterback
yeah,
and one's your boy.
yeah.
But at number 3, I have to go with my quarterback right here. And I have Jalen Hurts at number 3. It's weird because I put him above Josh Allen, but you would probably think Josh Allen's a little more talented. So why isn't he above Joe Burrow? I trust Joe. I think Joe Burrow is the more talented quarterback right now.
Yeah.
And Joe Burrow, I also trust in big moments in AFC championship type games and atmospheres. So at number 3, I have Jalen Hurts. But Jalen Hurts could definitely be number 2 at the end of the year.
Yeah, I feel you. I actually have Jalen Hurts right in the same spot, number 3. Comes down to a lot of what you talked about. I think Joe Burrow is the more talented quarterback. They have about equal, as far as weapons on offense. They kind of meet right there, even, right, when it comes to that type of stuff. But when it comes to just pure arm talent, I'm giving the nod to Joe Burrow right now. And the thing is, you talked about having them both over Josh Allen. It's all right here.
Exactly.
Jalen Hurts has the advantage over Josh Allen up in the mental space, as Joe Burrow does too. He has the mind to go along with the arm talent.
Absolutely. That was my thing.
Yeah, that's the main thing with putting him over Jalen Hurts. And you look at both of these quarterbacks, they both got to the same spot last year in reality. You have Joe Burrow facing the Chiefs in the AFC Championship, they lose. You have Jalen Hurts losing to Mahomes in the Super Bowl, they lose, right? So Mahomes was able to conquer both of these quarterbacks. You can't really say, Jalen Hurts deserves to be above Burrow because he made it farther. They're in different conferences.
Right. Burrow just made it there the year prior.
Exactly. He just went to the Super Bowl the year before,
right?
too.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. 2 through 4, to me, are in the same tier. I think Hurts, Burrow, and Allen are the same tier quarterback. I think out of the 3, Hurts is the least talented in terms of arm, even though he took that stride last year.
Yeah.
The difference is I trust Hurts more than I trust Josh Allen, and the talent isn't a far discrepancy.
Yeah.
But Joe Burrow's talent is the same as Allen's talent above Hurts, but I also trust Joe Burrow. That's how I rank those 3.
To your point at the end of your statement, I remember you saying that, Jalen Hurts very well could be above Joe Burrow by the end of the season. If Jalen Hurts is able to put multiple games together where he looks like he did in the Super Bowl, I mean, just running, throwing the ball, doing it all, there's not many quarterbacks that are going to be better than Jalen Hurts when he's playing at that level. He outperformed Mahomes in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, it's. I'm not going to go ever that far to say he's better than Mahomes. I promise you that, but he is up there when it comes to ceiling of just big game moments. He's right up there, man.
I agree. So people that are going to watch this, look on the wall, look behind me. Look at Scotty's hat and his wall. We are not disrespecting Jalen Hurts by saying he's not the second best quarterback in the league. Please don't do that. It's just, again, I think he has the growth and the ability to be the second best quarterback this year. I don't foresee anybody taking their reins this season from Patty.
Look, Joe Burrow's done it longer. He came out of college as a higher renowned prospect.
Right.
That's the reason he's above Jalen Hurts right now. He's done it 2 years in a row, getting to basically the same spot in the playoffs, and he's just been a better arm talent from the jump. So
Joe Burrow's been in the league for 3 years. His first year, he went down with a season-ending injury, and since coming back, he's been to 2 AFC championships in 2 years and a Super Bowl.
Yep.
Jalen Hurts in 2 years has made the playoffs and went to a Super Bowl. Excuse me. They're extremely close.
Yeah.
I think Joe Burrow's the more talented passer of the football
Yeah.
right now. Now you add in dual threat ability. Now that makes an argument for Jalen Hurts. So, of course, if Hurts is 3, Burrow's number 2, we listed the reasons why. And number 1,
sir.
we don't have to talk about this long.
No.
Come on.
mean,
It's Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
There's no discussion. There's no argument. There's no debate. Again, if you have a different number 1 on your list, you and I could never speak directly. Like, we could never have a serious, honest conversation.
Yeah. He clearly established himself as the best in the league by far last year, not only by winning the Super Bowl, beating the best team in the league, in my opinion, in the Philadelphia Eagles. The most talented team in the NFL last year was the Philadelphia Eagles. The Chiefs just had the most talented quarterback, right? They had the best head coach. Nonetheless, you look at the regular season numbers. He's your regular season MVP. He's your Super Bowl MVP. Led the league in passing, led the league in passing touchdowns, led the league in QBR. Even rushed for over 350 yards, had 4 touchdowns in that department. So the guy's a monster. He picks his spots perfectly. The sidearm throws, the tosses off his back foot, the just knowing when to run the football as well, right? Those big, just crucial defense crushing type of runs that he tends to break off out of nowhere. The guy can do just about everything, man. And we talk about him being the best in the league right now. We're going to have discussions. We could probably have them right now about him being the best quarterback
ever.
of all
Yeah.
time. He's just that talented. Like, it's just ridiculous. So when it comes to conversations, rankings like this, you can just go ahead and pin him in. I wouldn't even pencil him in. Pin him in at number 1 because he's going to be there for probably the next 10 years in reality.
Put it in stone, like carve it, whatever you got to do.
Yeah, whatever you got to do.
Not dethroning him. And I also need people to realize this, right? Like, if Joe Burrow or Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts or Aaron Rodgers go out and win the Super Bowl this year, that doesn't mean they've exceeded Patrick Mahomes.
Right. Exactly. Do we want to run?
That was my whole point.
Do we want to run through the top 10 one more time just to put them all out there in case people are just tuning in right now?
My whole point about Mahomes is he's, like you said, he cemented his marking at number 1.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that so early in his career, with all the accolades and the 2 Super Bowl rings already.
Lost Tyreek Hill last year.
Right. And the 3 appearances already, that he's already one of the greatest to ever do it.
Yeah.
Like, think about that. How old is Patrick Mahomes? 25,
26.
6. Already 3 Super Bowl appearances, two rings. He's
27.
27. At this point of your career, if you're already considered one of the best ever and you're in your prime, no one's undoing you.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
So
agreed.
To run it through, number 1, Mahomes. Number 2, Burrow. Number 3, Hurts. Number 4, Josh Allen. At number 5 is where we start to get different. At number 5, I have Aaron Rodgers. Scotty has Trevor Lawrence. At number 6, we both have Justin Herbert. At 7, I have Trevor Lawrence. Scotty has Aaron Rodgers. We just flipped those 2.
Yep.
At number 8, I have Lamar Jackson. Scotty has Tua. That's where he has Tua.
Yep.
At number 9, I have Dak Prescott. Scotty has Lamar Jackson. At number 10, I have Matthew Stafford. And Scotty has
Dak Prescott.
Cowboys.
Trash can.
Correct. So the difference of our 2 lists, I have Matthew Stafford at 10. Scotty has Tua Tagovailoa at number 8. The confidence in Tua. I love it.
Hey, gotta believe. I don't even know if it's Tua or if it's the guys around.
No, it's definitely the offense.
You know what I mean?
It's Mike McDaniels. It's the
He's
way
a good quarterback, though, for sure. Yeah. He's able to sling it. Honorable mentions for me: Stafford. I would even throw Kirk Cousins. I thought about it. I had broken it down. I'm like, do I trust Kirk Cousins or Dak Prescott more? And sadly, I trust Dak Prescott more than Kirk Cousins. I do.
Oh, yeah. I'll be honest with you. Oh, my God. Honorable mentions, if I could speak. Honorable mentions for me, absolutely nobody.
Fair.
Okay? Because I couldn't even come up with my 10th.
I could have stopped at 8 and been good, man.
Yeah, I'm good, man. It's crazy what has happened to the quarterback department in this league. Obviously, very, very star-studded up top.
Yeah.
But you get past number 8, Ooh, you're treading water for a
Yeah, I
while,
mean,
my
you're
man.
you're ciphering through the likes of Jared Goff and Geno Smith. I
Derek
mean,
Carr,
Derek
Kyler
Carr.
Murray.
Yeah, I'm good on those guys, man.
Me too, man. Me too.
Dare I
Well,
say Daniel Jones?
let me ask you one. I'm not, my